Hi students, here's a brief introduction to evaluating functions. This should be review, although you may not have used some of the language here quite as formally or in this way, and we may have some stuff that is a little bit tough to remember, so we're going to treat this as though this is brand new material. Just to get some vocab cleared up and some definitions so we all are speaking the same language. When we're looking at something like this function notation for f of x, what that really means is that we're talking about a function that we've decided to name f, and it's going to be using x as a variable. A really common misconception is to see people multiply these things together, so they think that they're taking this function, multiplying it by x, but that's not what that means. This just means that x is the variable that we are choosing to use here. We can also use the notation f of 2, and here we're looking at this green part. And f of 2 tells us that we're using that same function, but we're plugging in x equals 2 to see what we get as an output. And finally, looking at the blue notation down here, f of a equals 2, that tells us that this same function f has some value or height or output, we can think about that in any of those ways, that is equal to 2 somewhere. And our goal is usually going to be to figure out where that somewhere is. So let's try some of these. We're looking for f of 2, g of 2, and h of 2. And in each of these cases, that's going to mean the same thing, but also subtly different in terms of the math that we do. So f of 2 means I'm going to plug 2 into my equation, f. And here we're given 3 minus 7 times 2. In that case, that's going to be negative 11. For g of 2, we're asking what is the output when the input is 2. Okay, here's my input of 2. My output is going to be negative 2. And h of 2 asks what is the height when x is equal to 2. So looking at my graph, this is the point 2 comma 0. So my height at this point would be 0. Now it's time to try these on your own. Please pause this video now and then unpause to check your answers. Here are the answers to each of these problems. Here we're being given a value of a function and you're being asked, instead of plugging something in, to figure out what would have been plugged in to make this happen. Some of this is going to be really algebraic in nature and it's going to feel very much like stuff we've done before, and some of it's going to be a little bit weirder because we've got graphs and tables as well. So our first one, f of a is equal to 3. That's asking us to look at the function f, and that's saying that 3 minus 7 times whatever that number a is equal to 3. Okay, solving for a, minus 3 to both sides, I get a is equal to 0. So 0 would be the number that makes that true. Looking at our next one, g of a is equal to 3. So g is our table, and we want to find a function where the output is equal to 3. So where that output is 3, that would mean that a is equal to 1. And then finally, we're looking for where h is equal to 3, and here we're talking about the height of this function. 3 is somewhere up here, and there are no points on this function such that the height is equal to 3. So we're going to say does not exist. I'm going to abbreviate that as DNE so I don't have to write out those whole words, but there is no possible point that would make that true. Now try each of these on your own. I'm going to have you press pause, and then when we come back, we'll have your answers. And here are your answers.